Justice with Judge Mablean will be life because in everything we do, it involves the law. Where's your witness?
In the evidence.
That's hearsay.
It's notarized.
I still say it's hearsay.
She's fair.
You're going to help these young men learn how to do this the right way.
Yes, Your Honor.
She's firm.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
No, I don't need to say anything else.
She's honest.
I'm not your child and I'm not your friend. That's the order of the court. Goodbye.
This is Justice with Judge Mablean.
All rise. Both parties raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Court is now in session with the Honorable Judge Mablean presiding.
Thank you. You may be seated. This is the matter of Lindsay Bowers versus Stephen Bowers, daughter and father. You're suing your father for an additional $5,000 for the cost of your wedding. You say he promised to pay.
Yes, Your Honor.
Dad said it's your fault that I didn't pay it. You caused me some harm, so I'm not going to pay it. Now, let me hear what you have to say.
Your Honor, my father promised to pay my wedding venue, which was $10,000. He did give me a deposit when he said this of $5,000, but he still owes me the remaining $5,000.
So now, how did we get to this promise for him to pay?
So, a little bit of a backstory. Me and my father, we have not really had a relationship at all. I barely had a father growing up whatsoever. Him and my mom split when I was really young, and he was always kind of a playboy, a ladies' man, and so he was off with other women doing God knows what, and I was alone with my mother. And I did spend some summers at his beach house. That was his involvement in my life, except he was hardly there at all. Mostly a nanny was taking care of me whenever I was trying to build this relationship with my father. And sometimes I was even left alone as a kid there. And so when I turned 18, I decided to cut him off. There was kind of an incident that led up to that, but we didn't talk for about 8 years, and then I met my now husband, Jeff. And Jeff had a really great relationship with his dad, and I have always wanted that. And me and Jeff, we were talking about how we want to have kids soon. And I realized how important it is to have a relationship with your father. And so I reached back out to him, and we rekindled a little bit. He admitted to a lot of his wrongdoings, and
that was good.
Yeah, he took responsibility for a lot of the problems back then and how he didn't really raise me. And I told him I was getting married, and he was really excited about that. And I was really excited because I didn't know that I would have someone walking me down the aisle. And then he even offered to pay for my wedding venue, and that was when he
offered
gave
to
me
walk
the
you
check.
down the aisle and to pay for the wedding venue.
Yes.
How long before the wedding did this reunion take place?
So we reunited in November. Later that November, he had a hip injury, and we got married on New Year's Eve.
So you rekindled your relationship with your father in November?
Yes.
So you saw each other, what, 2 or 3 times before the wedding?
Well, we didn't really talk much. In between the wedding and when I rekindled with him, we did have some phone calls. We didn't really see each other all that much in person after that. But before that, we hadn't talked in 8 years, so that was kind of a lot. So he
offered to pay for the wedding, and he gave you the $5,000 for the down payment?
Yes.
And he didn't pay the balance, which was due, I take it, the day before the wedding or the day after the wedding, or when?
So the $5,000 was due as a deposit. The remainder of the balance was due the night of the wedding.
The day before the wedding or the night after the wedding?
The night of, yes. There's some, it has to do with the exact amount of guests that were there. So it was due the day
but you
of.
paid, it was due after the wedding? Mm-hmm. Okay. At least the wedding took place.
Yes.
Okay. So who ended up paying the $5,000 if he didn't pay it?
I did. My credit card was holding the venue, and so there was a deposit that he paid, and then they needed something to like reserve it, and my credit card was on the file. And so since they received no payment that night, which he had to leave, which, going back to the father-daughter moment with the camera, she was going to make it look like we kind of had a dance on the stage, but really it was just me holding him up because he couldn't really move due to his injury. And so I go to pick him up so we could take our picture, and he slips and falls. He gets injured. My husband's brother was an EMT, so he runs over.
Injured, re-injured at the wedding.
Yes, yes. And so my husband's brother ran over. He's an EMT. Someone called 911. They picked him up to take him to the hospital. So my wedding ended up slightly disastrous.
Coming up on Justice with Judge Mablean.
And I got up, she pulled me, I fell, I lost my balance, I hit the ground, and I couldn't get up.
Justice with Judge Mablean. If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Lindsay Bowers, who is suing her father, Stephen Bowers, for $5,000.
So tell me your side. What happened?
Well, Your Honor, first of all, I think there needs to be a reality check with Lindsay.
Okay. Who's going to give it to her?
Well, I think that I'm going to try to give that to her, and I'm hoping that the result of this complaint ends up where she understands that I don't owe her this money.
And why don't you?
Well,
you have to help me understand that, because she's asking me to decide whether you should pay her or not. So you need to help me understand why you don't owe her.
Well, the reason I'm standing here in this courtroom is because of Lindsay. It was her fault that I got injured. I have a second hip injury that was caused by Lindsay.
And why do you say it's her fault?
Well, prior to the wedding,
yes,
it was very clear for me, and I believe that Lindsay understood this at the time, that because of my hip injury that I wasn't able to, by doctor's orders, to walk her down the aisle.
She said that.
Okay, or dance with her, a father-daughter dance. Okay.
So at the time of your hip had been injured, had you had any type of surgery after that first injury?
Yeah, after the first injury, yes.
So you had hip surgery?
Yes.
So sometimes after hip surgery, at least the one I had, I was able to get up and stand up straight. You could do that, right? You couldn't?
I could, but with doctor's orders to not bend, lift, or do anything else that
bend, lifts, twist.
It's the BLT,
right,
if you will, and I'm sure you might be familiar with that.
I'm very familiar with it.
I know.
Right, so you were still in that phase.
I was still in that phase.
Right, you could stand a minute and take a couple of steps because you needed to do that for exercise sake, but not any twisting and turning.
Exactly.
And lifting and bending.
Exactly.
And how long had it been before the wedding? How long was your surgery?
It was about a month.
Okay, so about 4 weeks in. Okay, so you knew he had restrictions, right?
Yes, and I was definitely trying to respect those.
Okay. So what happened? Give me your version of what happened.
Well, first of all, I was supposed to be, the idea here, since I couldn't walk her down the aisle,
right?
I couldn't really do a father-daughter dance with her,
right?
Was to basically pose with her, stand up and pose with her, with a photographer, so she could have a remembrance.
So it looked like you were holding her in a dance position.
Exactly. That's exactly what was supposed to happen.
And so what did happen?
What did happen was, and Lindsay in her enthusiasm came over, actually pulled me out of the chair to dance. That's what I thought. Not to pose, but to dance. And in doing so, I fell. And I got up, she pulled me, I fell, I lost my balance, I hit the ground, and I couldn't get up.
Did you pull him out the chair?
I mean, I was just helping him onto his feet. There might have been a little force to it. I mean...
You were a little inebriated?
I mean, we had been drinking a little bit of champagne, but it was nothing crazy. This was pretty early in the night, so...
I didn't ask you how early it was. I said, were you a little inebriated?
I was drinking just a little bit.
What's just a little bit?
We did a toast of champagne and maybe another drink.
A toast is a sip. Or did you
Yeah,
drink the whole glass?
I did finish that glass, yes.
Okay. And then you drank another glass.
Yes.
And that's all you had to drink? Two
Yes.
glasses of champagne?
Yeah, if
Two
even that.
8-ounce glasses, 6-ounce glasses, what size?
If even that, because the reception started at 7 and the moment was supposed to be pretty early on, so it happened probably 8 o'clock.
Okay, now you fell.
I fell.
And you said she caused you to fall. It was her fault. I call it an accident. So how does that relieve you of your responsibility to pay the additional $5,000? Because to pay for the wedding was not contingent upon your ability to dance or your ability to stand. It was contingent upon your ability to have some money.
And my ability was diminished the minute I hit the ground,
And how?
because now I'm back in the hospital.
Right.
And I have to pay additional amounts of money. My insurance didn't
But your
cover-
insurance, that $5,000 was already due that night.
Okay. But I wasn't there that night. I left.
Yeah, the night of the wedding.
I was on the floor being taken to the hospital.
Got you.
I was gone.
Right.
Had that never happened,
But you didn't have the check in your pocket because it was due that night after the wedding was over.
I was ready to pay the $5,000 that night had the accident not happened.
So you had the money.
At that time, Your Honor.
Okay,
At
and
that
what
time.
happened after that you
After
didn't
that
have the money?
came the deluge of having to pay medical bills over and above.
What happened to your insurance?
It was there, but I have a deductible. I met the deductible.
You met the deductible on the first surgery.
Well, I had the second one, and things didn't work out well.
No,
So,
you had the second surgery within the same year the first surgery,
But-
so your deductible had been met.
right, and I've got paperwork, Your Honor, that shows
Let me see.
on that deductible.
I've been through enough hospital bills with enough people caring for them,
This is
and
second
lately
surgery.
myself, that I know how this insurance and hospital bills work. So you met your and you're a senior.
Coming up,
This is the final straw, the one time where he actually can make a difference, and he promised me that he would do this, and he fell through.
Justice with Judge Mablean. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Lindsay Bowers, who is suing her father, Stephen Bowers, for $5,000.
Now the wedding was New Year's Eve, so I don't know if you fell after New Year's Eve or after midnight on December 31st, or if you fell before. Was it after midnight?
He fell before midnight.
Okay, so you're still within the same year in terms of your medical care. But you're saying that you had to put out $9,000 in medical expenses out of your pocket.
Which basically took care of the $5,000 that I originally had committed to Lindsay. Had the accident not happened, Your Honor, she would have had the $5,000.
I understand that you had some additional expenses to incur once the accident occurred, but that was due that night. So you should have had that $5,000 in your pocket right then and there.
It was in my pocket.
Okay. And then once those other bills were incurred, you get an opportunity to pay on those later. You made a commitment to pay a debt of $5,000,
Right.
$10,000 for your daughter's wedding.
Right.
You paid $5,000.
Right.
You had a balance due of $5,000 on the night of her wedding, which was New Year's Eve.
Right.
So, and it was due and payable when the wedding was over, you said?
Yes.
So that meant that at that particular moment, you should have had that $5,000 check or $5,000 cash or a credit card for $5,000 that night at the wedding.
I did.
All right. And you didn't give it to them.
No.
Coming up,
Now you're saying because she caused you to fall, she should pay it. That's your position.
Well, it would be nice. It would be nice if my daughter, who's now suing me for $5,000,
closed captioning provided by. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Lindsay Bowers, who is suing her father, Stephen Bowers, for $5,000.
It's no different than if you had borrowed $10,000 from a creditor and you had to pay the creditor the $5,000, but you had an accident and were unable to work, and you didn't have any money, and you got increased expenses because you had medical bills and medicine, and you maybe had to have a nurse, and you got increased expenses. Guess what? That bill is still there. So now you just have $28,000 more to pay. Now you're saying because she caused you to fall, she should pay it. That's your position.
Well, it would be nice. It would be nice if my daughter, who's now suing me for $5,000.
I know you got additional medical bills, but are you able to pay over term?
Well, I don't have the money now.
Okay.
Okay, I just don't.
So what's your position? Your dad said, I would have paid, but because of he says, negligence, pulling him up, he fell and incurred more expenses, and now he doesn't have the money.
When I think about so many times, I think about so many times that my dad could have been there for me, where he could have been at my first day of school, or
So you're
my
trying to
first
make
prom,
him pay
everything.
for all of that time that he missed?
No, just the one time. This is the final straw. He promised me that he would do this, and he fell through. And I mean,
he didn't fall through like just being negligent or just being a flake like he had done in the past and just didn't show up. He was there. He said he had the money. I don't know why you just didn't get the check that night. I mean, I know he went to the hospital, or his credit card, but now he doesn't have it.
I don't understand either, and I have been calling him to even try and have a conversation about this.
So he's been ignoring the calls. So you all are back to where you were, no relationship.
Yes.
Judge Mablean's verdict when Justice with Judge Mablean returns. Promotional consideration provided by. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean.
You don't build a relationship like this. You don't let the cost of venue come between that. It's not like he just flaked out. He was injured. You have to accept that as a reality, and you have to accept that first and stop going back to, he ran out on me again, he ran out on me again, just like he's always done. That's the song you're playing in your head. You got to stop playing that song. So Dad, it doesn't relieve you of your responsibility. I understand that it puts you in a bind and it's a hardship and it won't be easy for you, but I'm going to order you to pay $200 a month. That's the obligation and that's the order of the court. I'm going to order you into counseling. I think it would be good for the two of you to sit down together with a therapist and to try to deal with the past. Because you know what you don't want to happen is your father to die or you to die and this is still hanging over your head. You don't want that. That's the judgment of the court.
All rise.
Judge Mablean has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $5,000.
I'm sorry that it had to come to this.
I don't disagree with what the judge is doing. It's what I can afford to do right now, but it can be a win-win for us going forward.
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.